The final boss is back. It's go time. Season 3 is here. Are you tuning in? Every Sunday is Sitting Down Sundays with the final boss. Get ready for an inspiring journey as we dive deep into the transformation from the nation's capital to the entertainment capital of the world. This is the conversation that will ignite your dreams and fuel your ambitions. What you'll experience: game-changing insights from industry leaders, real talk about making impossible dreams possible, the blueprint for leveling up your life, motivation that hits different. This isn't just another podcast episode. This is your wake-up call to greatness. Don't just listen, absorb, don't just hear. Transform, don't just dream, execute. Drop a like in the comments if you're ready to level up with us.
Welcome to Sitting Down Sundays with the Final Boss. I'm your host, the one and only, the Final Boss, people, the one and only Final Boss. Man, I have a great show for you guys tonight. Right? We're going to be talking about something that goes back to season 1, right? Season 1. But before we get into that, look, hey, Giganti, welcome. Before we get into the mustard, listen up, right? Listen up. Because this is an episode you, like all episodes, man, you don't want to miss an episode of The Final Boss. Who does that? Who wants to miss an episode? No one. But look, man, before we get started, I hope everyone has a great week. Hope you enjoyed some football today. It was a great day today. My team got the job done. Shout out to the Los Angeles Rams. The only team that matters. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that win. I appreciate you guys. Look, welcome to another edition of Sitting Down Sundays with the Final Boss. I'm your host, the one and only, the Final Boss, and we coming to you live at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And let me tell you something, right? Right now. Tonight's episode is going to shake up some foundations, and it's going to make you think, right? It's going to make you think, man, because that's what we're here. That's what we're here to do, make you think. We want a community of critical thinkers, right? And all of us want to be thought leaders in this critical thinking space. So, we'll be diving deep into words have power too. And if you caught part 1 from season 1, you know we're not playing games here, people. We're not. We're talking about the architecture of reality itself. How the words you speak, the language you use, the declarations you make are literally programming your consciousness and reshaping your future. This isn't motivational fluff. This is quantum mechanics meets neuroscience meets ancient wisdom, right? This is how chess pieces become chess masters. This is how you become a final boss. Right? So right now, I need you to lock in, grab your pen, grab your notebooks, grab your paper, grab everything you need, and turn off all those distractions. The game will be back. If you're recording it, or you can watch the highlights. But trust me, the game isn't going anywhere. Get those notepads ready because tonight we're going to decode the secret language of manifestation, and I'm going to show you exactly how smarts, motivators, warriors, and final bosses in this community are using verbal alchemy to transmute their reality. Now let's go. All right. Let's go. Let's go, people. Let's go. All right. Before we get into it, let's get into the admin notes. Make sure you go like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe to the Final Boss and the Final Boss podcast, no matter where you see us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitch, Kick, YouTube. And for your audible listening pleasures, we're on Spotify as well. Like, share, subscribe on all those channels. Make sure you go check out our website so you can view and hear and watch all of our episodes from the beginning to where we are now on our website, which is thefinalbosspodcast.com. One word. Thefinalbosspodcast.com. One word. Now, we appreciate the comments you guys are leaving us on all the different platforms. And if you want to send us an email, the email is at info@thefinalbosspodcast.com. That's info@thefinalbosspodcast.com. Now, got that out the way. Let's talk about the brass tacks. And right now, here's the brass tacks, right? Your vocabulary is your destiny. The words you habitually use don't just describe your reality. They construct it. Master your language, master your life. Again, I'm going to say that last part again, right? Master your language and you master your life. Now, let that resonate and marinate in your spine. Right? That's the truth. And that's the truth that we're building on tonight. And all I want you to do is take a moment because I want to take you back to something profound. When you were a child, you learned language by associating sounds with experiences, emotions with expressions, concepts with consequences. Your entire operating system was built word by word, phrase by phrase, story by story, and song by song, which is very important. But here's what they don't teach you, right? They don't teach you this. You can reprogram that operating system at any time. You can debug the faulty code. You can upgrade the firmware. You can install new applications that serve your highest vision, right? Stay with me. We're just getting started. The Final Boss community knows that we're not just talking differently, we're thinking differently, which means we're becoming different. We're rewriting the source code of our consciousness, and it starts with understanding that every word carries a frequency, intention, and creative power. And tonight, we're going deeper into the mechanics of transformation. We're going to examine how language shapes neural pathways, how declarations create momentum, and how systematic use of empowering vocabulary literally rewrites your brain for excellence. Right? Now, you know we love to talk about science. So let's talk about science for a moment. Lock in, people. Lock in. Because at this very moment, smarts in the community need to understand the mechanics behind the magic. Your brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons. And every time you speak, every time you think, or every time you process language, you're activating something specific, something uh specific to specific to your neural networks, right? And here's where it gets fascinating. Here's where it gets fascinating. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself. It's directly influenced by the language patterns you repeatedly use, right? When you constantly use empowering language, you strengthen neural pathways associated with confidence, action, and possibility. When you use disempowering language, you reinforce circuits connected to limitation, fear, and stagnation, right? Dr. Andrew, who did research at the Thomas Jefferson University, showed that positive words stimulate the frontal lobe, right? The frontal lobe, the area that is responsible for logic, reason, and higher order thinking. Negative words activate the fear center, right? Triggering stress responses that literally cloud your judgment. This means your vocabulary isn't just communication, it's neurological programming, right? Neurological programming. Think about that, right? Think about that for a second and stay with me. Think about the difference between saying I can't versus I haven't yet. One closes neural pathways, the other keeps them open and primed for learning and growth. And my final bosses, here's your framework, right? Final bosses recognizes this because we don't use victim language. We don't say I have to. We say I choose to or I get to. This isn't semantics. This is neuroscience applied to personal transformation, right? Now, let's take another look at this. Let's take a look at this from another level. Yeah, you know, let's talk about quantum. Let's talk about the quantum level. Because everything in the universe vibrates at a specific frequency, right? Your thoughts vibrate, your emotions vibrate, your words vibrate. And according to the principles of quantum mechanics and the research of scientists like Dr. Emoto, these vibrations have measurable effects on your physical reality. Dr. Emoto's water crystal experiments demonstrated that water exposed to positive words like love and gratitude formed beautiful symmetrical crystals, while water exposed to negative words like hate formed distorted, chaotic patterns. Now, right now, now consider your body is 60% water. Every cell in your body is responding to the vibrational frequency of the words you speak, both internally and externally. When you say, I am powerful, I am capable, I am becoming, you're literally sending high frequency signals throughout your entire biological system. When you say, I'm worthless, I can't do this, I always fail, you're programming your cells with low frequency destructive patterns. And my motivators, they know this all too well. Good morning. Good morning to you. My motivators know this all too well. The motivators in this community understand that motivation isn't just about feeling good. It's about maintaining a high vibrational frequency through conscious language selection. It's about speaking life into yourself and others, knowing that those words are literally shaping reality at the molecular level. And this right here, this is why we speak with intention. This is why we declare our goals as if they're already accomplished. Right? Right? We're not lying. We're creating. And we're creating in this creative space. Right? Now, let me give you a practical framework. Let me give you a practical framework, right? So you can visualize what I'm talking about. What I call, we're going to call this the declaration protocol, right? The first thing you're going to do is present tense authority. You're never going to speak goals in the future tense, right? Don't say, I will be successful. Say, I am successful. I am building wealth. I am becoming a final boss, right? Present tense activates your subconscious mind to align your actions with these very declarations, right? The second one we're going to say is called emotional amplification, right? And this is where you attach strong positive emotion to your declarations. Your subconscious doesn't respond to logic, it responds to feeling. When you say, I am grateful for the abundance flowing into my life, you have to feel the gratitude viscerally, right? And step 3, consistent repetition. Neural pathways are strengthened through repetition. This is why affirmations work. Not because they're magic words, but because they're systematic. It's systematic reprogramming. You are declaring your truth. You're declaring your truth in the morning, in the night, and while you're sleeping, right? While you're sleeping. Imagine that. Words without action. And number 4, aligned action, right? Because words without action are just noise. You've heard that before, right? Your declarations must be followed by behaviors that support them. If you declare, I'm a leader, you must lead. Your brain recognizes congruence, and congruence builds belief. Step 5, environmental reinforcement. Now, I've spoken on this several other times on different podcasts, right? About your environment. You must surround yourself with people who speak the language of possibility. The Final Boss community does this naturally. We don't tolerate victim mentality, excuse making, or limiting language. We hold each other to higher linguistic standards. This protocol is very important. This protocol isn't optional, right? It's not optional because you must be serious about this transformation. This is how chess pieces become chess masters, right? Now, right, I want us to talk about something. I'm always speaking of architecture, whether it's architecture discipline or architecture protocols, architecture where it is built into the 6 pillars of success or the 6 building blocks of reward. I speak about architecture a lot, but we're going to talk about identity architecture, right? And I want us to focus specifically on the two most powerful words in any language. Any language. And those two words are I am. Say it with me. I am. Whatever follows, I am becomes your identity. Your brain takes it as a direct command about who you are. This is identity level programming, and it's the deepest form of behavior change that one can have. When you say, I am lazy, your brain creates a self concept around laziness and will unconsciously guide you toward behaviors that confirm that very identity, right? When you say, I am disciplined, your brain creates a self concept around discipline and will push you toward consistent, focused action. The ancient Hebrews understood this so well that they considered I am to be the name of our Heavenly Father, the name of God, the creative force of the universe, right? In biblical texts, when Moses asks God's name, the response is, I am that I am. That is so powerful. It is so powerful when you say that. God is who he is. I am that I am. This wasn't mysterious. This was instructional. You, my friends, are the creator of your very experience through the power of I am. And here's your assignment, right? For the next 24 hours. I love to give assignments. Like, I'm the final boss teacher. And I give assignments and call to actions all the time. So if this is your first time joining us, lock in for this call to action, right? Start with this. Monitor every sentence that begins with I am, and you write it down. Most people will be shocked at how much negative self-definition they're unconsciously programming themselves to. I am tired. I am broke. I am overwhelmed. I am confused. Now, you have those. Now let's flip it, right? Let's flip it with some positive words of affirmation and positive words of vibration, right? Say this. I am energized and growing stronger. I am building wealth systematically. I am managing my priorities with excellence. I am gaining clarity daily, right? Gaining clarity daily. Now, my warriors, you guys know this, right? My warriors in this community, they don't just fight external battles. They fight the battle of language because they know that where victory is forged, control your I am statements, control your destiny. Now, we need to pivot for a second and let's talk about purging, right? Let's talk about purging. Purging. Think about it, right? Purging as a victim language. Purging it completely out of victim language, right? Purge it out of your vocabulary completely, right? Because victim language is any phrasing that removes your agency. It removes your power. It removes your responsibility. It's the language of chess pieces. And people who are moved by circumstances rather than moving circumstances themselves, right? And here's a common, we're going to give some examples of common victim language, right? Common victim language problems, right? Saying I have to removes choice. Saying I can't declares impossibility. Stating they made me gives powers to others. Saying if only focus on unchangeable parts. Saying it's too hard pre-justifies quitting. Now, you take that same energy and you flip it to something positive, right? Something positive. You say, I choose to, or I get to. Stating, I haven't mastered that yet. Stating, I allowed, or I responded by. Or you could say something like, from this point forward. This is challenging and I'm capable. That's another one. You notice the difference in the first set of words and phrases and the second set of phrases? One set of phrases strips you of power. The other set claims power. When you eliminate victim language, something profound happens. You stop seeing yourself as subject to life, and you start seeing yourself as the author of life. By the way, if you don't know this and you're just now joining us, go pick up my first book. It's a motivation manuscript. It's called Go Time, the Fired Up Train, All Aboard the Fired Up Train. That's right. Go Time, All Aboard the Fired Up Train. Go pick that up right now, or when you get a chance to, or after this segment, go pick up Go Time. I'm telling you, it is a great read. We're getting outstanding reviews for it, and you will not be disappointed, right? Be the author of your life. When you move in this energy, you move from reactive to creative, from effort to cause. This is non-negotiable in the final boss framework. We don't make excuses, as I stated before. We make declarations. We don't complain about obstacles. We strategize solutions. The language shift creates the mind shift, which creates the behavior shift, which creates the life shift. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's compound. It's compound. It stacks. So look, start today. Here's your call to action. Start today. Catch yourself every time victim language tries to sneak out and what you do is you consciously replace it. This is how you defeat the inner me, the internal enemy that wants to keep you small, safe, and stuck, right? And here's something that most people don't realize. Most people don't realize you are constantly telling yourself a story about who you are. Believe it or not, you are your own storyteller, right? You are your own storyteller. You're constantly telling yourself what you're capable of. You're also constantly telling yourself what your life means to you. That very story, that internal narrative is constructed entirely from words, and the story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. This isn't magic. It's not black magic either, right? If your story is, I'm someone who always struggles with money, then guess what? Your brain will filter reality to confirm that very story. You will notice every financial setback. You would dismiss every opportunity and unconsciously sabotage success because it contradicts your narrative, right? But get this. Get this. Final bosses, motivators, warriors, smarts, get this. If your story is, I'm someone who systematically builds wealth through value creation, your brain filters for opportunities, right? It works like a search engine. It looks for solutions. It looks for strategies. Listen, same reality, different story, different results. The Final Boss community practices conscious narrative construction, right? We don't let random thoughts, past failures, or other people's opinions write our story. We write our story with intention. Now, listen. Every night, review your day. I play back my days all the time. I play back conversations all the time. And when I recognize a challenge, or if you recognize a challenge, reframe challenges as plot developments, right? Reframe them as plot developments, like a hero story. By the way, I'm working on my second book. It's coming. It's a hero story. That's all I can tell you guys about that. But you will enjoy it. When you're not having no, as heroes don't say that they have bad days, right? You're not having a bad day. You're overcoming obstacles that make the victory sweeter. All right. Regularly speak about your future self in detailed, specific language. The version, say these things, man. Say the version of me 1 year from now is leading a team of 50. You're going to be generating 7 or 8 figures, right? In revenue. And if mentoring is what you like to do, throw that in there too. Go mentor someone, right? Or mentor a team. Or if you're an entrepreneur, mentor fellow entrepreneurs, right? Because sometimes you have to describe yourself in third person, right? You have to do that. I myself, as the final boss, is someone who shows up consistently, no matter what, right? This creates psychological distance from current limitations and allows you to step into a larger identity, right? Your narrative is your destiny. Edit it accordingly, right? Edit it accordingly. Now, look. Oh, hold on. Mm. Listen, let's talk about something subtle, but it's incredible at the same time. And it's incredibly powerful. Um, let's talk about the questions you possibly are asking yourself right now, right? Think about every question that you're possibly asking yourself right now. Think of it as every question as a command to your subconscious mind. Again, like a search engine. As you're typing in the command to go search something, your subconscious mind is looking for an answer. Your brain cannot resist a question. Try asking yourself a question and not answer it. I'm gonna wait. Go ahead. Go do that. Right? It immediately you can't. You can't do it, right? So it's not happening. Your brain's going to answer, right? It may not be immediate, but it will. But think of it like this. Your brain cannot resist the question. It immediately begins scanning your memory, your environment, your situation, your circumstances, your knowledge from your base knowledge, right? Or your brain acts like a repository, and it's going to look for that response to answer that question. This means the quality of your questions determines the quality of your thinking, which also determines the quality of your life, right? Most people, right? Most people, they ask terrible questions. They ask terrible questions. They ask themselves, why does this always happen to me? That's probably the worst terrible question you can ask yourself. Or they may say, why am I so bad at something? Or this, right? Or why can't I ever get ahead? Those are some really bad questions to ask yourself, right? Because if you notice what these questions do, they presuppose negative premises and force your brain to justify and reinforce those very premises. You literally program yourself for failure through poor questioning. Now, my sparks, I know you guys out there are always asking empowering questions because I get them, right? You ask empowering questions. You say, what can I learn from this experience? How can I approach this more effectively? What resources do I have available that I haven't fully utilized? Right? What has solved this problem before? And what can I learn from them? Right? These questions direct your focus towards solutions. Be solution driven. That's what Go Time's about. Go Time, all aboard the fired up train. Go pick it up. It's a solution driven motivation manuscript. I'm sorry, motivation workbook, but it was a manuscript at first. These questions direct your focus towards solutions, growth, and possibility, right? Now listen, stay with me. Don't go nowhere. We got a couple more minutes, man. Hang in there. Here's an advanced technique, right? To assume success, right? Assume success in your questions. Instead of, can I do this? You ask, how will I do this? Instead of, will this work? Ask, what will make this work optimally? You see the shift? The shift from whether to how is the shift from doubt to strategy. It's the shift from chess piece to chess master. Monitor your internal questions, right? You will be shocked. You will even be surprised how often you're unconsciously asking yourself destructive questions. When you notice it, you replace it immediately with empowering ones, right? Empowering ones. And that's the difference. That's the very distant difference between thinking something and speaking something. It's more significant than most people realize. When you speak words aloud, you activate multiple sensory systems simultaneously, right? You hear yourself through auditory reinforcement. You feel the vibration in your body, right? It's like a kinetic reinforcement, right? You engage motor cortex for articulation through physical reinforcement. This multisensory engagement creates stronger neural coding than we ever thought before, right? It's why athletes talk to themselves through performances. It's why military units use verbal cadences. And I know this all too well. It's why we, as the Final Boss community, encourage to speak declarations out loud. There's also a psychological principle, right? That is embedded in that. And it's called commitment and consistency. When you speak something publicly, right? Even to yourself in an empty room, you create a psychological contract. Your brain registers it as a commitment and unconsciously moves, right? Unconsciously moves, right? Yes, you, toward consistency with that very commitment. This is why I encourage you to start your mornings every single day speaking your identity and speaking your intentions out loud. Go stand in the mirror. Go stand in the mirror, look at yourself, and make declarations to yourself. Declare who you are and what you're creating, right? When you do this and you notice a difference in your life, share with your wins with others. Share it with the Final Boss community. Share your progress publicly, right? It reinforces everything internally, and at the same time, it creates accountability, right? When you articulate concepts to help others, you strengthen your own understanding exponentially. That's why it's so important to teach what you know and not gatekeep. You become an expert of what you speak. You become an expert of what you're living, right? Stop the gatekeeping, people. And this is actually called the protege effect. Teaching is the highest form of learning. Your voice is an instrument of creation. Use it intentionally, right? Stay with me. We almost done. Don't go nowhere. Got a couple more minutes. The warriors don't whisper their battle cries, they roar them into existence, right? Existence. Now, let's shift. Let's do a shift to one of the highest frequency language patterns that you can have. And before we do that, I need to take a sip of my coffee. The coffee. Oh man, need that. I need that. Let's shift to one of the highest frequency patterns that you can speak into existence. And that very frequency is gratitude, right? Gratitude. Gratitude isn't just politeness. It's a strategic tool for consciousness elevation. When you express genuine gratitude, you activate the parasystematic um, sympathetic nervous system, right? You reduce cortisol. You increase dopamine and serotonin, and literally shift your brain into a state of abundance. The language of gratitude rewrites and rewires your reticular activating system. That's the part of the brain that filters what information gets your conscious attention. All right. When you regularly speak gratitude, your RAS that I just mentioned starts scanning for more things to be grateful for. You create a positive feedback loop of abundance awareness. But here's the key, right? Gratitude must be specific and it must be present, right? It can't be I'm grateful for good things, right? It has to be more like I'm grateful for the specific opportunity that came through the conversation that you're having with the final boss, right? You see how I did that? You see how that opens up a different thought process or a different thought pattern, right? Don't say I'm thankful for my health. Say, I'm grateful that my body is strong enough to wake up every morning, to work out, to recover from injuries, right? You see how that was specific, right? You see that? The specificity in that creates an emotional resonance. And the emotion is what drives neural rewiring, right? And you can practice this every day, every night. Practice it when you wake up, practice it before going to bed. Speak specific gratitudes out loud. This programs your subconscious during sleep. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. You'll wake up with your brain already tuned to an abundance frequency. My motivators understand that gratitude isn't passive appreciation, it's active creation of prosperity consciousness, right? And I know that was a mouthful, people. I know, right? But when you speak gratitude for what you have, you magnetize yourself to receive even more. This isn't woo woo or voodoo. This is neuroscience and quantum mechanics working in perfect harmony, right? Look, let's address the elephant in the room because I know you guys have some concerns, right? I know you do, right? That voice in your head is telling you right now, it's criticizing what I'm speaking, it's already creating doubt about what the message I'm trying to convey to you. It's already undermining it. That voice, right? That's the voice of what I call the inner me. It's the final boss that you, yes, you need to defeat, right? And you can fight it with words, right? Understand that negative self talk is the primary weapon of the inner me. And if you don't consciously combat it, it will destroy your potential. Research has shown that the average person has between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts per day. And for most people, 80% of those thoughts are negative. Get that. And 95% are repetitive. And get that, right? You're unconsciously running the same negative programming day after day after day after year after year. This is why most people stay stuck. They're not dealing with external obstacles. They're dealing with an internal language loop that keeps them in prison. And my final bosses, we understand this because under the final boss protocol, right, which is in go time, all aboard, fired up train. Under the final boss protocol, we are constantly combating negative self-talk, right, through different steps. Number one, awareness. Number two, the interruption theory, right? Number three, replace, right? Immediately start replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts, negative phrases with positive phrases, negative words with positive words. And then step four is the reinforcement of that. Wash, rinse, repeat. You have to do this, right? You have to create such an emotional intensity through repetition and emotion, right? Which is actually neurocoding, right? And last but not least, action. Take immediate actions, right? No matter how small. And you make those immediate actions align with that very empowering thought. This creates proof to your brain that you're speaking and meaning what you're saying, what you say. Do this consistently for 30 days. You're going to rewire the default and turning dialogue. The inner me loses its grip when you refuse to speak the same language of the inner me, right? Now, one of the most powerful strategies for linguistic transformation, right, is creating your and now look, if you're not familiar with this word, go look it up, right? Go look it up. All right. Because that's what we do. If we're not familiar with a word, we go look it up. Right? You got the computer in your hand. Look up the word. Look up words you don't know meaning to. You'll learn something. Right? So when you go through these strategies of linguistic transformation, when you actually do it, it's called a personal lexicon, right? You're developing a personal lexicon. It's a customized vocabulary that reflects your values, your vision, and your identity, right? And my final boss community, we already are building our own lexicon right now on this very podcast, right? We have the smarts. Those are the critical thinkers. We have our motivators, those who inspire action. We have our warriors, those who execute relentlessly, right? And then finally, we have the final bosses, those who lead from principle, right? And look, the fired up train, right, is the momentum that carries you towards your goals, that carries you towards your destiny of a better you, right? It embodies your greatness and your excellence, right? And then, like I've been speaking about all night, your inner me. That's your internal resistance that you need to overcome. It's what keeps you comfortable, right? And then, lastly, chess pieces versus chess master. And if you're intrigued by that very principle, I have an episode that I discuss not being a chess piece anymore or a chess master, but being the chess board. Go grab that concept, right? Now, when you see what I did there? This is our very own Final Boss Nation, Final Boss community. This is our own very personal lexicon that we're developing, right? Right. Now, we got a couple more minutes. Stay with me. When you're facing challenges, don't call them challenges. Don't call them problems. Call them opportunities for you to master, or call it character refinement, right? Don't call your failures failures. Call them a collection or an iteration of cycles, right? When and you know, so many people use the word work and they use it wrongly, right? Stop using work in your vocabulary. Call it building my empire or mastering my craft. And you start building on your own lexicon, right? You can do like 3 to 5 words a week. And these words represent your core identity system. Use them constantly. Have them embedded and engraved into your very embodiment of who you are, right? Use them relentlessly, systematically, right? Use them for excellence. Use them for transformation purposes. Use them for building your legacy, right? Now, you have to create these catchphrases, man. These catchphrases that capture your philosophy, right? When someone asks how you're doing, instead of saying I'm fine, say I'm building daily, right? Or I'm living with intent or living intentionally, right? I'm winning systematically, right? These are phrases that you can utilize for your own personal lexicon, right? This is your OS, this is your operating system. Because every time you use it, you reinforce your unique identity and separate yourself from default human programming, right? Final bosses don't speak like everyone else. We don't. I don't speak like everyone else because final bosses don't think like everyone else. Your language is your differentiation, right? Right? Your words just they just don't shape your reality. They shape the reality of everyone around you. This is verbal leadership, and it's a responsibility you must take seriously. When you consistently speak with power, clarity, and vision, you give others permission to do the same. When you maintain linguistic discipline, you raise the standard for your entire environment, right? I see this all the time in the Final Boss community, constantly, right? When the motivators show up speaking excellence, it elevates everyone's game. When the warriors share their victory language, it creates momentum for others. When smarts articulate complex ideas with clarity, it expands everyone's thinking. But the inverse is also true. When you speak victim language, when you complain, when you gossip, or when you use limiting words, you lower the frequency of everyone in your sphere, in your space that you have influence, right? And this is why verbal leadership matters, right? Right? Look at a child, right? Children especially absorb language patterns, right? Speak to them in empowering ways and instead of saying things like be careful, you might fall. Say be aware and trust your body, right? You're programming their self concept. If you are in a social circle, right? Whether it be your church or you have a social circle online or something like that, the words you create is an energy field. You have to choose those words wisely. And when it comes to self-talk, the conversations you have with yourself radiate outward. When you speak to yourself with respect, others feel that very energy and they respond to you differently, right? And Final Bosses recognizes this. They recognize leadership isn't just decision making, it's about language mastery. Your words are creating the culture around you, and you have to make sure it's a culture of excellence. Monitor not just what you say, but the effect your words have on others. Ask yourself, are you elevating or are you depleting? Are you empowering or are you limiting? Your verbal legacy matters, right? Your verbal legacy matters, right? And listen, Final Bosses and Final Boss community, as we come to a close, right? As we come to a close to this powerful session right here, I need you guys to understand something, right? Knowledge without application is just entertainment, right? Tonight, we talked about the neuroscience of language. We talked about the quantum frequency of words. We talked about declaration protocols. We talked about the power of I am. We talked about how to eliminate victim language, narrative control, empowering questions, vocal activation, gratitude frequency, gratitude supremacy, combating negative self-talk, creating your personal lexicon, right? And verbal leadership. And now look, I know that's a lot to take in. It's a massive download of information, and it's loaded with transformation tools, right? But here's the truth. Here's the truth of the matter. None of it matters if you don't implement it, right? I'll say again, none of it matters if you don't implement it. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with applied knowledge, right? I've given you guys call the actions. Develop your own words have power challenge. You can do that, right? Develop your own words have power challenge, right? Share your experience with us. Tag words have power, right? Tag Final Boss, right? Let's create a movement of linguistic transformation. And remember, you're not just changing words, you're rewiring consciousness. You're not just speaking differently, you're becoming different. This is how chess pieces become chess masters. This is the path to become a final boss, right? Now, I hope everyone has enjoyed the information that I've shared with you tonight. And if it resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Share it with someone else, right? Share it with someone else. And before we go, look, stay right there. We're almost done. Give me another minute. Before I close out, I want to remind you this week, right? This week, I am working on something that is phenomenal. This week, I'm adding an additional show to the Final Boss podcast. Starting on Wednesday, December 17th at 9 p.m., I have a new show. It's called The Merge. The Merge, or Merger Wednesdays, right? Where we're going to be diving into human AI consciousness. We're going to be discussing integrations. We're going to be discussing the language you use to describe this particular transformation. We're going to shape the transformation itself. So I don't want anyone to miss that. It's going to be hugely informative, right? Now, until then, make sure you go board. What? The Fired Up train. You defeat your enemy and speak your greatness into existence. I am the final boss, and I'm reminding you that your vocabulary is your destiny. And at the same time, I'm reminding you, this is the place where critical thinkers thrive, right? Same time, same place next week for another episode of Sitting Down Sundays with the Final Boss. You guys stay fired up. And remember, let this marinate in your spine. And always, there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, right? But the pain of regret is even heavier. And to each and every last single one of you, no matter where you're watching or viewing us from, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This has been the Final Boss Podcast, episode number 155. Words have power. Be balanced, be equal, and be smart. Y'all have a great evening. I have enjoyed this immensely, right? And I hope you have learned and you enjoyed it immensely as well. Until next time, I'll see you guys. Oh, I'll see you tomorrow for Motivation Mondays at 9 p.m. And then again on Tuesday for Tech Tuesday with our SME, the Sensei. And then for Merger Wednesdays or The Merge, 9 p.m. on Wednesday. And then Thursday for Special Guest Thursday. We got a dynamic and it's very interesting special guests that'll be on the show this week, this Thursday. All shows are at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. See you guys then. You have a great evening and a great start to the new week. Have a good one.
Welcome to the Final Boss Podcast, where microphones and mushroom clouds collide in the most mind-blowing chats. We're talking explosive topics, fiery debates, and the hottest guests. Imagine a creative space background, spacey vibes, and out-of-this-world conversations. It's like chilling with your best buddies, but with way cooler sound effects. Every episode, we take on the universe's biggest questions. You know, the stuff that keeps you up at night. And we do it with a bang. Want to know what happens when you mix gaming, movies, and pop culture? Boom! You get the Final Boss Podcast. So plug in those earbuds and get ready for a wild ride. Whether you're commuting, chilling, or just need a break, we've got your back. Hit that follow button and join us on this cosmic journey. Trust me, you don't want to miss these explosive chats. Catch the Final Boss Podcast now, where every episode is a blast. Stay tuned and stay awesome. Final Boss Podcast, bringing the boom to you.